Well, this is the last night of camp. I hope it's been a great week for you. As we go into our last night, one of the core principles of life is called the law of the inch. The law of the inch is the tendency is to get that close to the finish line and coast or quit. Finish strong. When you drive to the bucket, you want to finish with a basket. When you hit that spike, you want to drive it down and score. When you're coming on the net, you want to make that final push and make it. When you're 2 weeks within the final exam period, you want to press on. We call that the 90%er. Most people can get to 80%, but how do you get to 90, to 92, to 94? Sometimes you might even get 100%. We want to finish with our fourth word. The fourth way that Mylan builds this struggle, this intensity, this discipline, this precise practice. It is called purpose. You want to sail across the ocean? You got to have a ship with a rudder. Without a rudder, you'll never get to the port. Without a steering wheel, without a goal, without a destination in mind, without vision, the key word is purpose. I hope you understand a critical element. I want to show you the principle of purpose. The first one is you have to have a philosophy. Your philosophy is your belief system. I love this game and I have a philosophy of how to play it. We've taught you that. We have a philosophy for our other sports. Your belief system is going to dictate where you go. Now here's a fundamental difference between our camp than nearly any other sports camp in the world. We take it seriously of building the player from the inside out, not from the outside in. Now you can have these other principles outside in, but tonight's the most difficult talk of all because we're really going to talk about your core, what you personally believe. One of the great tragedies in my lifetime is this. You can't talk about politics, you can't talk about religion, you can't talk about inner issues without people getting angry. At NBC Camp, we don't want to do that. We are guided by the principle of believing in each other. We are guided by the philosophy to not only look out for our own interests, but also for the interests of others. So when I talk about philosophy, I want to talk about your belief system. And we want to share our belief system. My belief system was dramatically changed in 1966 in Fairbanks, Alaska. You see, at that point in my life, basketball was my God. I did everything for basketball. I spent 7 days a week in the gym. Basketball was good for me. Basketball gave me 5 years of education free. Basketball gave me a career. Head coach, University of Alaska, age 23. My perspective was dramatically changed in 1966 when my wife Susie became ill. And I was challenged to take a look at my belief system. Now you see, what I really believed was that basketball and God were contradictory. You couldn't love basketball and you couldn't love God at the same time. They didn't mix. What I've learned all these years, after 39 years of NBC Camp, is whatever's in your hand, what's in your hand right now, God can use. If it's a basketball, a soccer ball, a volleyball, a singing voice, because as Martin Luther King says, if you want to be great, wonderful. Because everybody can be wonderful because everybody can love, everybody can serve. And so I want to talk about how you take philosophy into passion. We want to build passion. You know, one of the great tragedies is for a person to go through their whole life and not have anything they're really willing to give everything they have for. You know, we have a golden ruler at camp, and one of the principles of the golden ruler is develop passion to go after something with all your mind, heart, and soul. With all your mind, heart, and soul. And I'm not saying it should be basketball. I'm not saying what that should be, because each of you have different levels of interest. But I'm going to tell you, find your passion. Find your passion. Then I'm going to give you the next P. You ready? It's called priorities. 39 years ago, I made a decision, and this was my priority. Matthew 6:33, following the words of Jesus Christ. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. You know what's really amazing? In 1965, I did my student teaching in English. I taught high school English, loved it. I taught Shakespeare. But you know what we started every single school day with? We read the Bible. Isn't that amazing that we would read the Bible? I'm thankful that NBC Camp is a camp that points people back to the Bible. We point people back to God. Not because we want to change people, but because we want to love people. We want to build the player from the inside out. When George Washington was willing to say, without belief in God and belief in the Bible, it's impossible to govern a nation. When Abraham Lincoln, my favorite president, was willing to say, you know what, the greatest gift of mankind is the Bible. When the great thinkers of the world come back to who Jesus Christ was. And for me, it was mind-boggling, I can tell you this. So anybody out there that's struggling with this issue of faith, with philosophy, with passion, with priority, with purpose, I understand it. Because I was there. And so NBC Camp is a place that we want to discuss this in love, in joy, in happiness, because we believe in you. I want to close with a story that changed my life. I was sitting in a gymnasium in Moscow, Idaho in 1965. A professor walked by me and he looked at me and he says, Kroll, you can do it. You need to apply for a head job at the University of Alaska. So when I bought this stone a few years ago called the Miracle, I believe you're a miracle. That professor believed I was a miracle. He believed in me. And I know that God made you a miracle. I know that you have within you, within your heart, within your being, a miracle life. Find it, build it, go for it. You can, you will, you shall. God be with you.